Welcome to my 19th Python course. In this course, we are going to be working with ternary operators in Python. This is just the alternative of if-else conditional statement, but with one line. So let's get started. So I created this if else block statement, which is if 3 is greater than 5, print 1, else print 0. So in this case, the output will be 0 because 3 is not greater than 5. But this is where ternary operator comes from, which we can write this code in another way by just using a one-liner code, which is a ternary or inline operator. So in this case, let us try to write the same code using one-liner. So we can see that x is equal to a certain string or number, which is the true condition. If the condition is true, this is what you want the output to be. So I can say that x is equal to 1 if 3 is greater than 5, else 0. So this block of code here is the same thing as the block of code here. So which is x is equal to 1 if 3 is greater than 5, else 0. If 3 is greater than 5, print 1, else 0. So it's just the same thing. If I should print x in this case, we're going to get the same value. So let me print x. So the output is 0, 0. The first one is for this if else block statement, and this one is for this inline if else statement. So this is how ternary operator work. We can also use this to check if a number is an even number or not. This is just exactly like an if else statement. It has no different, but just one liner. So in this case, if I should create a variable, I want the user to input an integer number, like this integer number. So I want to say that z is equal to a certain output. So I can say that z is equal to even if n mod 2 is equal to 0, else then I want my output to be odd. So if this number is divisible by 2, then it means that it is even. If it's not divisible by 2, it is odd. So if I should print z, now let me run my Python code. I have my output. It's waiting for me to input something to the screen. If I should input 5, I got my output as odd. So which simply means that this code is working perfectly. So let me test for even. Let me input 4. My output is even, which is probably working perfectly as we want, just like the if else statement. So in alternative way, just like if n mod 2 is equal to 0, print even, like this, else this is pretty long, print false. So this block of code is the same thing as the block of code there, nothing else. So I prefer using this in most cases if I'm not going to be writing something like elif. So if my code is just a combination of if else conditional statement, then I'm just going to use this inline code in this case. So if I should run this code and just input 4, I'm going to get the same output, which is even. So we can also use this ternary operator for a list comparison. So instead of just printing even and odd, we can also print a boolean value, so which is true, then yeah, false. So in this case, I can use this in ternary operator. In list comprehension, I can create a new variable which is k is equal to I for I in range 1 to z plus 1, like this, if z, that is if z is true. So we don't need to specify if z. So anything like if, it means that the condition is true, unless you type if not. So if the condition is not true, then it's not going to satisfy this list. So we can either let the user input an a n value, then from this n value, so let's say that from 1 to n plus 1 rather. So n plus 1, we want to multiply this by 2. So I times 2 for I in range 1 to n plus 1 if z. So that is, we want to multiply if the user input an even number, we want to only use an even number. So if the user input an odd number, we are going to get an empty list. So let's just try this. Print k, and let me run my code. Waiting for me to input. Let me input an odd number. I got my empty list. In this case, this if else conditional statement is still running, which is false. So if I should rerun and the input an even number, something like 8, now this gives me 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So this is from 2, 4, so from 1, so from 1 it keeps on multiplying the 1 by 2, which is this this operator here, I times 2 for I in range 1 to n plus 1 if z, that is, if this condition is true, it will only satisfy this list comprehension. I think this is just all for this ternary or inline operator in Python. You can play with it more by solving coding problems. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button and click on the icon button to receive new notifications.